All right, I'm here for sentencing on a charge of OWI causing injury, file 24-93337. Counsel, you want to state your appearances, please?
Zachary McLennan on behalf of the people.
And good morning, Your Honor. James Gilbert here on behalf of Mr. Gauthier, who's standing to my right.
Okay, and have you had a chance to review the pre-sentence report and recommendations with your client?
I have, Your Honor, and my client has a copy.
Any additions or corrections?
There are not.
The advisory guidelines were scored at 5 to 23 months. Any scoring challenges from the witness?
I agree with the scoring.
And Mr. McLennan, any additions, corrections, or scoring challenges from the people?
None, Your Honor.
Mr. Gilbert, anything you want to say on behalf of?
Yes, Your Honor. This was a very unusual case, and I think Dylan stands before you here knowing that what he did was not the best judgment call, and actually he's paid a pretty significant price, and the young lady that was with him got hurt pretty badly also, and he understands that. However, I think it could be argued that this could have happened even if Mr. Gauthier hadn't been drinking. It was an incident where they were on a bike and a group of deer came charging out, and one of them actually smacked directly into him while he was on the bike and causing significant physical injury to my client as well as to the person that was with him. And it was a situation that could have happened to anybody, whether or not alcohol was involved. He understands that maybe without that, he could have responded quickly. I know as a person that has had my truck repaired numerous times, it can happen in a blink of an eye that this same situation can affect any one of us driving. So I'd ask the court to take that into consideration. Also, there was, I do believe that he had some form of a problem back when this case first started. He had earlier picked up a similar charge in Florida, but hadn't been penalized for that yet. It was still in the process of working out. So it's not like he was just going out and doing things while he was under some form of supervision. However, he has, while being on bond, done very well. I mean, I met him when this first started, when I got assigned to the case. And if you look at, he hasn't had many violations. I think there was a couple of late tests at one point in time. It appears that he's not using alcohol. It looks like he's been addressing this issue. He understands that there's a problem to pick up two offenses or bad decision making, and has gotten his arms wrapped around it. So I would ask the court to take that in consideration. He has done well on bond. This was a unique situation, and I think the court's also aware he also paid a price from another individual deciding to take their own self-justice out on him by giving him additional, basically put the boots to him and hurt him very badly when somebody beat him up for doing this incident. So I would ask the court to take that also in consideration. As I started out, this has been a very unique case, and one that I believe Dylan's very remorseful for. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Mr. Doherty, you don't have to say anything today, but you are allowed to. Is there anything you want to tell me or no?
Yes, Your Honor. I did write up a statement.
Go ahead.
Just because I haven't had a chance to really talk. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where to start. I was invited over to Dylan Lamb's camp by my friend Aiden, and I did go over there. We were hanging out and we were drinking a little bit. And Dylan, it was getting close to sunset, just starting to get dark. Dylan Lamb asked me to take his girlfriend for a ride. I said no 6 or 7 times because I knew about the danger and I knew I shouldn't be operating the vehicle. And I was scared for the deer. I've hit multiple animals on that motorcycle. That like scares me every time I get on it, but it was the last connection I have to my father and one of the few things that I truly enjoy. Not the point. I agreed. Dylan asked me to take her for a ride 6 or 7 times. I said no. And I finally agreed after he puffed out his chest and said, if you don't take her for a ride, I will. And I told him that wasn't going to happen. And I caved. So I figured I would take it off the road and back. You go left around the corner, off the road, 3 deer come out. They go from the left to the right side. So I slow down and move over to the left side of the road, close to the shoulder. And I'm looking at the deer on the right-hand side, and I just turned my head back to the left towards the corn, and not even 10 feet away, number 4 popped out, and they T-boned us. I tried to angle right and get away, but there was nothing I could do. And I know I shouldn't have been on that bike, and I should never have given in. And I knew what the right thing to do was, and it was to do nothing. And I am extremely remorseful for what happened that night. I'm not asking for any. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for mercy.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. I do have one question for you there. You said you were drinking a little bit. You were almost 2 times the legal limit. What does drinking a lot look like for you?
I'm not sure.
Well, I'd encourage you to think maybe you're still kind of minimizing what's going on. You say I was drinking a little bit, and you're almost twice the legal limit operating bike. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, defendant is 22 years old. This will be his first felony. He has 3 prior misdemeanors. And he is 22 years old. He's already in felony OWI territory. It's just a really unfortunate decision. And we're just very lucky everyone is still alive today. With that said, he did do well on bond. If there's going to be a wake-up call, I think this incident would be it in his young life. I believe that 12 months of jail is appropriate, Your Honor, and that's what the people would request.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Doherty, your attorney's right that this is, there's a lot of complicating factors in this case. Both what we call aggravating and mitigating. There's some facts that I look at, and say from a baseline of a normal, if there is such a thing as a normal repeat drunk driving case, but from that baseline, are there any things about your situation that make this worse? And are there any things that make it not as worse? And there's facts on both sides of that equation. So that's where what your attorney's getting at. There's a lot of complicating things here. Not least of which is the assault that occurred by somebody who was, at the scene on you. That was a significant assault. The victim in this case, was a passenger that placed herself on that motorcycle, and that's certainly not her fault, but it does make it different than if you were to hit some other vehicle. So all of those things are factors that we look at. But also, Mr. Doherty, this is the 3rd time in the last 5 years that you've been arrested for drunk driving. You've been convicted twice now, and one of them was reduced to a reckless down Florida. That gives me a lot of worry. And this time somebody got hurt and you got hurt. I also see that you mentioned the motorcycle being the only connection that you still feel to your father. Another mitigating fact is that Dad passed away during your senior year in 2020. You weren't in any trouble before then, and all of these drinking and driving offenses occurred in a short span of time after that. That is not an excuse for your behavior at all. It just helps me understand why somebody who wasn't a troublemaker before is now all of a sudden getting arrested a bunch of times. You're only 22 years old, and you're in front of a circuit court felony judge on guidelines that would allow me to send you to prison today. And the Court of Appeals would do very little with that, be within the guidelines. Still have to be a proportionate sentence, but it'd be awfully easy to look at the aggravating factors and say you should go to prison for 18 months today. And I'm going to tell you, I did give that some thought. But I do think some of those mitigating factors I've outlined, and looking at all the information I have about you in the pre-sentence report, I think that would be a life-altering event for you and not for the better. So I'm hopeful that maybe probation can help you get a handle on this. And even today at your sentencing, for you to say you were drinking a little bit shows me you've got a lot of work to do about your understanding of the place alcohol should have in your life. The fact that now you've been arrested 3 times for driving drunk. One of them, somebody almost died. You know, it's easy. Everybody in this room, except maybe you, understands alcohol should have no place at the table of your life or the rest of your life. Some people are able to manage alcohol use, and you are not one of them.
Yes, sir.
And I'm hopeful that probation and counseling can help you get there so that the rest of us in this room and in this community are safe from you out there driving around drunk. So I'm not going to send you to prison. I am going to place you on probation for 2 years as recommended by the Department of Corrections. All the terms and conditions in that pre-sentence report at pages 2 and 3 apply. I want to highlight for you, you have to complete substance abuse treatment as recommended. There's 360 hours of community service. You have to keep and maintain a job. There's a high amount of restitution, $10,693 for medical costs. There's $130 crime victims assessment, $350 in court costs, $68 in state costs. There's a monthly supervision fee to the Department of Corrections. You know, and I think given that it's a straddle cell, given the injuries that occurred here, and particularly given that it's not your first drunk driving conviction, I agree with the prosecutor that I think a 12-month sentence that's within the guidelines. It's consistent with the plea agreement for the county cap. So I'm going to order that you serve 12 months in the Prescott County Jail forthwith, credit for 2 days previously served. And I have no objection to your participation in any programming that the jail would have to offer. That is, as I said, a sentence within the advisory guidelines. Mr. Doherty, if you wish to appeal from the conviction or my sentence or both, you'd have to file an application to the Court of Appeals. If you wanted a lawyer, I would appoint one for you, but you'd have to make that request within 6 months of today's date. We're going to hand you a piece of paper explaining those appeal rights, ask you to initial 1 copy for us so we have a record to give it to you. The other ones for you to fill out if you wish to appeal. You are eligible for early discharge from probation at the halfway point, but you're going to spend, you know, a lot of that first half of probation in jail anyway, so it's not like you're going to be eligible for that. But your probation agent can explain that to you as well.
The probation term and the jail term being started.
Yeah, the probation term starts today, and the first 12 months of your probation is at the jail.
Okay.
So then once you complete the terms of probation and your agent thinks that you're in good position, they can petition for early discharge. If they think they need to extend the probation because there's more work to be done, they can ask for that as well. Good luck to you, Mr. Doherty. We'll bring us next to People be Larry Kubik, file 24-